Namaste. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. How many of you just understood what I said? My father recited these lines for years, standing in front of the deity, eyes closed, hands folded. And I never asked him what they meant. Not because I couldn't, because I didn't think I needed to know. Those lines say, lead me from untruth to truth, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. It is beautiful, but I only understood it after I felt it. My name is Namratha Mohan. I help people reconnect with their heritage, but I almost grew up without mine, because in my life, most of the time, I was busy. Let me tell you about my father. He was deeply devotional, always. As a child growing up, I would see him stand in front of the deity for hours, praying, eyes closed. I would be sitting on the sofa doing my homework, and I kept thinking, Daddy, the deity isn't going anywhere. Why are you taking so long? I would look at the clock, and I would get impatient. He was trying to pass on something to me, but I was too impatient to notice it. I never asked him what those lines mean. I never asked him, why does he do this every single day? I never asked him, what does he pray for? I thought I had time. I was in 7th standard when I realized I didn't. So every summer, we used to go to Andhra for holidays. My mother's family lived there. My family comes from there. But my grandfather came and settled down in Mangalore. So that summer, my father had a sharp pain. And within seconds, he was gone. And I had so many things in my mind. I wanted to discuss so many things with him. But he was gone. After that, I constantly started visiting temples, not in devotion, but in grief. I thought maybe the temples can answer me all the questions that I have. Every deity looked like my father's face. Every shloka felt like his voice. And that is when I understood. Grief never teaches you to answer questions. Instead, it teaches you to run away from them. And slowly years passed on. Like many of you, I completed my MBA. I grew up in Mangalore. And after that, I went to Mumbai. I did my MBA, got a very good job. Kind of a life when people say, you have evolved. My mother came to live with me in Mumbai. And she would still ask me, come, let's go to a temple. And I would say, Mama, I'm very busy, not today. It would be weekend, and she would tell me, okay, come for the puja with me today. I would say, Mom, I have a presentation, not today. She was there, right there, trying to give me the same thing what my father was trying to give me. But me, I was always busy. She would send me videos telling, hey, look, this is the same ritual your father is to do. But frankly speaking, I never saw any of those videos. I always thought I'll do it later. No, I wasn't being cruel. I just thought maybe it's not the time. I'll do it sometime, sometime later. So time moved on. Then I got married. It was a time for our honeymoon planning. Thanks to my husband, he said Char Dham Yatra, the 4 sacred temples in Himalayas. Not trendy back then, known as the pilgrims people take before dying. I told him I signed up for temples, not mountains, and nobody told me about the trekking part. Kedarnath was brutal. I felt as if my lungs were collapsing. I was climbing up the mountains. I saw dead bodies coming down. I asked Bhaiya, what is this? He said, old pilgrims come here believing dying over here would give them liberation. That is it. I thought, okay, I got married, we have come here, we are going to die now. So we were walking ahead, and it was really difficult. An old man approached towards me, and he says, Beta chalo, thoda hi dur hai. Both of us knew he was lying, but somehow that lie helped me move forward. He held my hand. He helped me cross the rough patches, the rocks, and finally we reached the destination. I believe he was God. And when I stood before Kedarnath, I couldn't pray, nothing came to my mind. All I could think was about my father. He came this exact same path. He came in this exact same journey. How many times did he try to tell me? How many times did I refuse to listen? Even then, back then, my mother was waiting back for me in Mumbai, trying to give the same thing what my father was trying to give me. But for me, it was always later. So we finished our yatra, we came back, it was a wonderful journey. We wanted to document it. We had a very basic camera, very raw footage. So my husband Googled how to edit videos. We joined everything together and posted it on YouTube. It became one of the most watched Chardham Yatra videos on YouTube. People loved it. They found it raw. They found it interesting. My husband started a spiritual tourism company. And me, I went back to my career. I thought that mountain moment was more than enough for me. So few years down the line, my mother was still living close to me with my brother. She would still ask me, come, let's go to temple today. I would say, Mom, no, I have presentation, not today, some other time. So despite Kedarnath, despite the mountains, despite the realization, nothing had changed. I was still very busy. And then the world came to a standstill. It was pandemic. My husband's business shut overnight. I was working from home. So we packed up everything and came to Mangalore. Everyone around us was suffering. There was a lot of negativity around us. We thought we should do something during this time, something that we could hold on to. And that is when our documentary journey began. For 12 months, we went to all the temples in coastal Karnataka. We understood, we studied, we researched, and we documented each temple for 1 month. We didn't make any money. We hardly made any money from it, but we still made them anyway. And during that journey is when I realized what my father was trying to give me. I was doing what he loved, and finally, I was receiving what he was trying to give me. Slowly, things settled down, and then we came back to Mumbai again. This time, for something really interesting in my life, my dream job. Amazon Prime Video Finance Manager, Local Originals. This is it. This is what I worked hard all this while for. The job was intense. The people were brilliantly intelligent. A job that demanded everything, and I was thriving at it. I was thoroughly enjoying, and slowly one day, we thought, me and my husband, we got so busy that we could not spend enough time with my daughter. We could not teach her about her roots. We could not teach her grounding. So we decided to again pack up everything and come back to Mangalore. I continued to work from home. So after coming back to Mangalore, we thought, okay, what next? So we slowly began our documentary journey once again. One day when we were passing through the streets in Mangalore, we passed through my father's shop. We lost it, bad circumstances back then. The shop was still there, closed. My daughter looked at the shop and she asked me, Mama, how did Grandpa's shop look like? I began telling her. And then she asked me, oh, why did he pray daily? And then, why don't you pray? Those 3 questions, the same questions I never asked growing up. That is when I realized I needed to do something. I don't want my daughter to grow without knowing her roots. So I was working, and then I finally decided to quit my job. People thought, everyone around me thought I was crazy. My grandmother would be horrified had I told her I'm doing temple stories in English, that too on modern platforms. But still, I did it anyways, because I was tired telling later. Always later. People watch temple girl videos. People who have grown up going to these temples. At the same time, people who are trying to find something they have lost. That is when I understood. Ancient wisdom don't connect to modern audiences on their own. There has to be someone to bridge that gap. The language, the format, the emotion, everything. 1,000-year-old story told in moments that people can grasp. Reaching people would not have been possible otherwise. So that is how I started my temple girl journey. When my father was standing there and praying for hours, I never asked him back then. But then later I understood. He was trying to build a bridge, so that even after he was gone, I would know where to find him. Today, my daughter sees me going to temples, running, scripting, editing, filming, and she must be wondering, why is Mama doing all of these things? But 30 years down the line, I would know the bridge would still be there, and she would definitely understand why I was doing all of these things. My daughter was born on the same day like that of my father. I noticed it once, and then I let it go. Well, my father passed on the stories through prayers. I am passing it down through stories, and my daughter will find her own way of passing it down. That is why I always say, it doesn't matter where you come from if you don't know where to go. I have connected to my roots. Have you?